The red light of a dying star shone through the windows of the alien market. The place was silent except for the hum of machines and the faint cries of the creatures trapped in steel cages. Every cage held a being from a different world, warriors, slaves, and experiments. In the farthest corner sat a man. His name was Ryan, the last known human after Earth's fall. His face was dirty, but his eyes still burned with fire. He had been caught years ago, sold and traded like an animal. Yet even in chains, he never begged. Alien merchants walked by, laughing at him. A human? They say they were powerful once, one sneered. Powerful, another said. Look at him now, a relic, a toy. Ryan stared at them in silence. He didn't waste words on fools. Then the crowd parted as Princess Zyra of the Thalran Empire entered. Her silver armor reflected the red light, and her violet eyes looked sharp and proud. Everyone bowed as she walked by. She was known for her cold heart and perfect discipline, but when she passed Ryan's cage, she stopped. Open it, she ordered. The merchant hesitated. Your Highness, that one's not for sale. Dangerous, I said open it, Zyra repeated. Her voice carried the quiet strength of someone used to being obeyed. The cage opened with a hiss. Ryan didn't move. He just looked at her with tired, sharp eyes. Zyra studied him. You understand me, human? Ryan smirked. More than you'd like. The merchant stepped back nervously. He's not obedient, my lady. Humans think they're above all. He'll never serve you. Zyra turned to her father, Emperor Voss, who stood nearby watching. The Emperor's skin shimmered like molten metal, his presence heavy and cruel. He chuckled. You want that creature, daughter? He's worthless. But if you wish to waste your gold, pay the price. Without a word, Zyra handed her command crystal to the merchant. It was worth a small fortune, enough to buy a ship. Gasps echoed through the market. Ryan's eyes narrowed. You paid for me? He asked. Yes, she said simply. You belong to me now, he laughed bitterly. No one owns me. Zyra looked calm. We will see. Hours later, Ryan sat inside a white research chamber aboard the Imperial ship. Strange machines surrounded him. Zyra stood outside the glass wall watching scientists take samples of his blood. Why are you doing this? Ryan asked through the comm speaker. Zyra didn't answer right away. Humans are resistant to mind control, she said. Our enemies use it against us. If we can understand your brain, maybe we can learn how to stop it. Ryan gave a dry laugh. So I'm just another test subject? Zyra's eyes softened for a moment, but only for a second. You will be treated fairly. As long as you cooperate, Ryan leaned back. And if I don't? She looked at him straight. Then my father will dissect you. I suggest you cooperate. The room went silent. The hum of the machines grew louder. Ryan felt anger burn in his chest, but also something strange. Pity for her. She looked strong, but her eyes told a story of chains, too. That night, Zyra sat alone in her private chamber. The Emperor's voice echoed in her head from earlier that day. Do your tests quickly. Once you're done, we'll see what's inside him. She looked at her hands, trembling slightly. Something about the human bothered her. He wasn't afraid like others. He spoke like an equal. Even while bound, her assistant entered. Your Highness, the human refuses to sleep. He's staring at the walls. Zyra rose. Show me. When she entered the chamber, Ryan was standing, his eyes fixed on the ceiling. He didn't flinch as she approached. Why won't you rest? She asked. He smiled faintly. You ever sleep in a cage? She said nothing. Ryan continued. You think I'm just a subject, but I've seen your kind before. Conquerors who think power makes them gods. You're all the same. Zyra stepped closer to the glass. And yet here you are, trapped. He nodded slowly. For now, her lips tightened. You're bold for a captive. I'm human, he said simply. Boldness is all we have left. Something about that answer shook her. She turned away quickly, hiding her face as she walked out. A quiet alarm began to blink on the control panel. A secret message from the Emperor's command. Prepare the human for dissection at dawn. Zyra froze, reading it twice. Her father's order was final. She looked back through the glass. Ryan was sitting again, calm and silent. For some reason, she couldn't move. The thought of him dying felt wrong, deeply wrong. Outside the ship, the red star flickered like a dying heart. Zyra stood still for a long time, then whispered to herself, I paid for you, human, but I will not let them break you. She turned off the security cameras and entered the override code on the control panel. The glass door unlocked with a hiss. Ryan looked up in surprise as she stepped inside. "Get up," Zyra said quietly. "We're leaving," Ryan blinked. "What? Now?" she said, eyes fierce. "Before they come." And as the warning sirens began to scream, the human and the alien princess ran, together, into the fire that would change both their lives forever. Alarms screamed through the metal hallways of the Imperial ship. Red lights flashed and soldiers ran in every direction. The sound of boots and weapons echoed like thunder. Zyra gripped Ryan's arm tightly as they moved through the smoke-filled corridors. "This way!" she shouted. Ryan stumbled, still weak from the experiments, but he kept running. "You're insane," he yelled. "They'll kill us both." Zyra looked back, her silver eyes glowing under the emergency lights. "Then let's make them try." They turned a corner and 2 armored guards appeared. The first raised his plasma rifle but Ryan was faster. He grabbed a broken pipe from the wall and swung it hard. The guard fell, armor cracking. The second fired, the beam slicing through the air, missing by inches. Zyra fired back with her pulse pistol, hitting the guard straight in the chest. The corridor filled with smoke and sparks. Ryan coughed, waving away the fumes. "You're a princess who shoots like a soldier." "I learned early," Zyra said. "In this empire you fight or you die." They kept moving. The floor shook beneath them, the ship's engines roaring to life as security systems locked down. Over the speakers, a cold voice echoed, "Princess Zyra, surrender the human. You are disobeying royal command." Zyra stopped for a moment, breathing hard. "That's my father," she whispered. Ryan looked at her. Then we moved faster. They reached the hangar. Huge steel doors guarded rows of small escape ships. Dozens of soldiers stood between them and freedom. Zyra crouched behind a crate, scanning the area. "We'll never make it through all of them," she said. Ryan glanced around, then noticed a fuel tank near the wall. "Maybe we don't have to." Before she could stop him, he ran out from cover, rolling toward the tank. "Ryan!" He smashed open the valve and threw a burning tool at it. The explosion shook the hangar, flames bursting like a second sunrise. Soldiers shouted, falling back. The shockwave threw Zyra off her feet, but Ryan caught her hand before she hit the ground. He pulled her close as fire spread across the room. "Now's our chance." They ran together through the chaos, jumping over debris and fallen guards. Zyra's heart pounded, not from fear but from something else. The human strength, his courage, it defied everything she was taught. They reached a small black ship hidden behind a cargo hauler. Zyra slammed her hand on the control panel. The door opened with a hiss. "Get in," she ordered. Ryan climbed inside and dropped into the co-pilot's seat. "You sure you can fly this thing?" Zyra smirked, flipping the switches. "I built it." The engines roared to life, shaking the floor. Through the glass they saw the hangar doors closing, the Empire trying to trap them inside. "Hold on," she shouted. The ship blasted forward, crashing through the half-closed doors. Metal tore like paper and fire trailed behind them as they shot into the black of space. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. Stars spread before them, endless, cold, and beautiful. Ryan leaned back, breathing heavily. "You really did it. We're alive." Zyra kept her eyes on the controls. For now. Behind them, explosions lit up the void. The Emperor's flagship was already launching fighters. Red dots appeared on the radar. Pursuit ships. Zyra pressed the throttle harder. "They're gaining on us." Ryan looked at the map. "There's a moon ahead. Looks unstable, lots of storm activity." "That's why we'll go there," Zyra said. "They won't follow into the storms." A bright plasma beam streaked past their hull, shaking the ship. Alarms flared again. Ryan gripped the side of his seat. "I thought you said you could fly." "I can," she replied, teeth clenched. "But this ship wasn't built for running from a fleet." He glanced at her, sweat shining on her skin, hair flying, eyes fierce. She wasn't just a princess. She was a survivor. Another beam hit the tail. The ship spun violently. Ryan reached over, helping her steady the controls. Their hands touched when for a second neither spoke. "Hold it together," Zyra shouted. The ship dove into the glowing storm clouds of the forbidden moon. Lightning flashed around them, blue and wild. The atmosphere screamed against the hull. "Power's dropping," Ryan said. "Then we glide," Zyra answered. The engines sputtered and died. The ship fell, spinning through storm and flame. Ryan grabbed Zyra, pulling her into his arms as the ground rushed closer. "Brace!" The crash shook the sky. Metal screeched. Fire erupted. Then silence. When Ryan opened his eyes, everything was smoke and darkness. His body ached, but he could move. He turned and saw Zira slumped against the wall, unconscious, blood on her forehead. He crawled to her and touched her cheek. Zira, hey, stay with me. Her eyes fluttered open slowly. We made it? Barely, he said. We're alive. That's all that matters. Outside, the storm roared over the strange moon, purple lightning crawling across the black sky. Ryan looked out through the cracked window and whispered, Looks like home just got a lot farther away. Zira tried to smile, her voice weak. Welcome to the Forbidden Moon, human. He nodded. Guess this is where our story really begins. And somewhere above the clouds, the Emperor's ship circled, hunting them both. Smoke rose from the wreck of the small black ship, its metal skin twisted and burning. The air on the Forbidden Moon was thick and electric, glowing faintly purple under a storm-filled sky. Lightning crawled across the clouds like living snakes. Ryan pushed open the broken hatch, coughing from the smoke. The air smelled strange, sweet and sharp at the same time. He stumbled out, boots sinking into soft black dust that shimmered with faint blue light. Behind him, Zira groaned. She tried to stand, but her leg gave out. Ryan turned back quickly and caught her before she fell. Easy, he said. You're hurt? Zira clenched her jaw. It's just a wound. I've had worse. He looked at the long cut on her thigh, glowing slightly from contact with the moon's strange soil. We need to stop the bleeding, he said, tearing a piece of his torn shirt and tying it around her leg. Her silver eyes met his. Why are you helping me, human? You could have left, Ryan smirked faintly. Guess I'm just too stupid to run from trouble. A small laugh escaped her lips, the first real laugh he'd heard from her. You are strange, Ryan of Earth. Yeah, he said softly, looking at the endless storm above. I've been told. They walked through the strange landscape, searching for shelter. The ground pulsed faintly under their feet as if the planet itself was alive. Tall crystal pillars rose in the distance, glowing faint blue through the fog. There, Zira said, pointing. The old ruins. That's our only chance, Ryan looked at her. Ruins of what? Of something ancient, she said. This moon was forbidden because ships that enter never return. Great, Ryan muttered. Exactly where I wanted to crash. But they went anyway. The ruins were vast. Smooth, white stone carved with symbols neither of them understood. Giant statues of unknown beings stood half buried in dust, their faces worn by time. Inside, the air was still and dry. Strange lights glowed faintly along the walls, reacting to their presence. Ryan laid Zira down near a stone platform. You need rest, he said. Zira looked at him, tired but proud. Humans? You don't follow orders well, do you? He smiled. Guess we don't. Hours passed. Outside, the storm raged on, but inside the ruins there was only silence. Ryan built a small fire from broken wiring and scrap from the ship. The orange light flickered across the ancient walls, making the symbols seem to move. Zira opened her eyes and watched him. You fight like a soldier, but you move like a man who lost everything. Ryan poked the fire with a stick. I did. Earth's gone. Burned to ash by your kind's war machines. Zira looked away, guilt flashing across her face. That war wasn't mine. He nodded slowly. No, but it's all that's left of me. Silence filled the room again. Only the soft hum of the ruins could be heard, a sound like a heartbeat beneath the stone. Then Zira frowned. Do you hear that? Ryan stopped moving. The floor under them vibrated gently. The walls glowed brighter. A deep voice, not human, not alien, echoed from everywhere. Welcome, children of war. Ryan jumped up, pulling Zira behind him. Who said that? The air shimmered. A light appeared in front of them, forming into the shape of a tall figure made of pure energy. It spoke again. This world holds the memory of creation. Long before your empires, before your wars, we made you. Ryan stared, confused. Made us? You mean humans? Yes, the figure said. Humans were born from our design, the core species meant to balance the chaos. But your kind was scattered, forgotten. Zira's face went pale. You created humans. Then what are we? The being's voice softened. Children of the same spark, yet divided by pride. Together, you were meant to heal what was broken. The light dimmed slowly, leaving only a glowing crystal floating in the air, Ryan reached for it, feeling warmth spread through his hand. What is this? Power, the voice whispered faintly. And a choice. Use it to destroy or to unite. Then the light vanished. Zira looked at Ryan, her face a mix of fear and awe. Do you believe it? Ryan turned the crystal in his hand. I don't know, but something tells me it's real. He felt strange energy running through his veins, not painful, but alive. Zira touched his hand gently. Then maybe you were never just a man. Maybe you were the key all along. Before he could answer, a sharp sound broke the silence. A scanner beeped from her wrist communicator. She looked down and froze. What is it? Ryan asked. They found us, she whispered. My father's ships. They're coming. Ryan's eyes hardened. He slipped the crystal into his jacket pocket and looked at her. Then let them come. I'm done running. Lightning flashed across the ruins, turning their shadows into giants. The storm outside grew wilder, as if the moon itself was waking. And as the thunder rolled, the human and the alien princess stood together, no longer captor and captive, but something far more dangerous, a team. The storm outside never stopped. Lightning flashed again and again across the black sky of the forbidden moon. But inside the ruins it was strangely calm, almost peaceful. The air felt thick with energy, like the place itself was alive and listening. Ryan sat near the broken steps of an ancient altar, turning the glowing crystal over in his hands. Every time he touched it, it pulsed softly, as if it could feel his heartbeat. Zira watched him quietly, her eyes full of questions. You've been staring at that thing for an hour, she said finally. Ryan smiled faintly. Feels like it's staring back. Zira looked around the ruins. Whatever built this place? It wasn't any species I know. Even our empire has no records of it. Ryan nodded. Maybe that's because they didn't want you to know. Zira frowned. What do you mean? He held up the crystal. That voice said humans were made, designed. If that's true, then whoever created us also created this. Created to balance chaos. Zira repeated softly. Maybe that's why your kind couldn't be controlled. Ryan looked at her. You mean why your people tried? Her eyes lowered. Yes. There was no anger in his tone, no mockery, and only quiet understanding. For the first time, Zira didn't see him as a subject or a threat. He was something else entirely, something ancient and important. Hours later, Ryan placed the crystal into the center of the altar. The walls of the ruins began to light up again, symbols glowing brighter this time, moving like streams of data. A low hum filled the air and the ground trembled. Ryan, Zira warned, stepping closer. What are you doing? Trying to find out why this place called me. Suddenly, a beam of blue light shot up around him, surrounding his body. Zira gasped as he floated a few inches above the ground. Inside the light, Ryan's mind flooded with visions, burning cities, falling ships, millions of stars, and voices whispering in languages older than time. He saw humans walking beside alien races in peace, and then saw them all at war. The light spoke again, not with words, but with thoughts. Humanity was our balance, our hope. You were meant to protect, not to conquer. But you lost your path. Ryan clenched his fists. Then why me? Why now? Because you are the last spark. The core still lives within you. The beam faded. Ryan fell to his knees, breathing hard. The crystal's light dimmed to a faint glow, now pulsing with his heartbeat. Zira rushed to him. Ryan, are you? He held up a hand. I'm fine. I think. What did you see? She asked. Ryan stared at the ground for a moment. A message. A warning. They built us to protect life, not destroy it. But we forgot who we were. Maybe this is my chance to fix that. Before they could speak again, Zira's communicator beeped sharply. She looked at it and her face turned pale. They're here. Who? My father's fleet. They're above the moon. Ryan stood. Then we better move. They ran through the glowing halls of the ruins, searching for an exit. The air outside rumbled as ships entered the atmosphere. Beams of light cut through the storm clouds, scanning the surface. They're scanning for life, Zira said. They'll find us soon. Ryan looked around and noticed a large chamber ahead, its walls carved with strange circles and symbols. At the center stood a massive stone ring half buried in dust. What's that? He asked. Zira's eyes widened. I've seen drawings of something like this in ancient records. A gateway, a technology lost for thousands of years. Ryan approached the ring. Think it still works? Zira shook her head. No one knows how. It needs power. something to awaken it. Ryan looked down at the glowing crystal in his hand. Maybe this will do. He stepped forward and placed it into the center of the stone ring. Instantly, energy surged through the walls, making the air vibrate. The ring began to turn slowly, glowing brighter and brighter until a pool of light appeared within it, like a mirror made of stars. Zira gasped. You activated it? Ryan looked at her. Where does it lead? She shook her head. Anywhere. Or nowhere. It's a gate between worlds, maybe even dimensions. Before they could decide what to do, a deafening explosion echoed through the ruins. Dust fell from the ceiling. Imperial soldiers stormed through the entrance, weapons drawn. Zira pulled out her pistol. They found us. Ryan stepped in front of her. Get behind me. The crystal pulsed again in his hand, spreading light through his veins. When the first soldier fired, Ryan raised his arm, and the plasma blast froze mid-air. The energy dissolved into harmless sparks. Zira stared in shock. Ryan, how did you do that? He looked at his glowing hand, just as surprised. I don't know. The soldiers hesitated, uncertain now. The ancient walls around them responded to the crystal's power, symbols lighting up like stars. Ryan turned to Zira. We can't stay here. If they take this power, they'll destroy everything. She nodded, gripping his hand tightly. Then let's finish what we started. They ran toward the glowing gate as blaster fire filled the room. Just before they jumped through, Ryan looked back at the soldiers, and at the Emperor's command ship hovering above the ruins. Tell your Emperor, Ryan said softly. The age of slaves is over. Then he and Zira leapt into the light and vanished. The world spun like a dream. Ryan and Zira fell through the shining gate, surrounded by streams of light and sound that felt alive. For a moment they floated in endless space where stars moved like waves and time felt like water. Then with a crash, they landed hard on a metallic floor. Ryan groaned and sat up. Where are we? Zira looked around, her eyes wide. They were inside a dark chamber, walls made of strange silver metal covered in glowing patterns. Not imperial, not human. It's another part of the ruins, she said softly, but older. We must have crossed dimensions. Before Ryan could respond, an alarm echoed through the chamber. A red holographic eye appeared above them, scanning their bodies. Unauthorized life forms detected. Imperial trace found. Engaging lockdown. Zira cursed under her breath. They followed us. Suddenly the gate behind them shimmered, and Imperial soldiers stepped out, one after another, led by a tall figure in golden armor. His voice was cold and full of authority. Zira of Thalrin, my daughter, you have betrayed your blood. Zira's face went pale. Father. The soldiers spread out, rifles raised. Ryan stood in front of her, fists clenched. You don't have to do this, he said. The Emperor's eyes glowed red. You, human, are the cause of her weakness. You are a disease that must be erased. Ryan didn't move. Funny. You sound like the people who destroyed my world. The Emperor stepped closer, the air shaking with his power. I destroyed your world because it was necessary. Humans were dangerous, unpredictable. Ryan stared at him. You were afraid of us. The Emperor's hand rose, energy gathering in his palm. I fear nothing. The blast came fast, but Ryan's body moved on instinct. The crystal in his pocket glowed, and a blue shield formed in front of him. The energy hit the shield and exploded outward, knocking soldiers off their feet. Zira's eyes widened. Ryan, that's the core power. Ryan looked at his hands, glowing faintly blue. Guess it woke up. Chaos filled the chamber. The Emperor's troops opened fire, beams of plasma lighting up the air. Ryan raised his hands, and the energy around him bent like water. The blast stopped mid-air, then flew back toward the soldiers, sending them crashing into the walls. Zira fired her pistol, covering him from the side. Left flank, she shouted. Ryan spun, punching a soldier who charged too close. The hit sent the alien flying across the floor, His strength was no longer normal. The core energy made his every move sharper, faster, unstoppable. The Emperor watched, expression unreadable. "Impressive," he said, "but power without control is still weakness." He lifted both hands, summoning a storm of golden lightning that filled the room. The floor cracked, walls melting from heat. Ryan tried to hold the shield again, but the blast broke through, throwing him against the wall. "Ryan!" Zyra ran to him, but the Emperor appeared between them. He grabbed his daughter by the throat. "You've shamed your bloodline," he said coldly. "You side with a creature that should not exist." Zyra's voice trembled, but her eyes stayed defiant. "He's more alive than you've ever been." The Emperor's hand tightened. "Then you will die with him." A blinding light burst through the air. Ryan stood again, his body glowing with blue fire. The crystal in his chest pulsed like a heart, and the ancient symbols on the walls lit up in response. He shouted, his voice echoing like thunder, "Let her go." The Emperor turned, surprised, as a wave of pure energy blasted from Ryan's body, tearing through the chamber. The soldiers were thrown back like leaves in a storm. Zyra dropped to the floor, coughing, free from her father's grip. Ryan stood over her, glowing brighter and brighter. The Emperor shielded his eyes. "Impossible. No human can wield this." Ryan stepped forward slowly. "You said we were dangerous. You were right." He slammed his fist into the floor, sending a pulse of blue light through the ground. The ancient ruins responded, machines awakening, symbols turning into moving circuits. The walls opened, revealing massive statues of the ancient creators. Zyra looked around in awe. "You've awakened the core." The statues began to hum, energy gathering between them. The Emperor tried to fight it, but his own armor started to crack under the pressure. "You will destroy everything," he shouted. Ryan's voice was calm now, almost gentle. "No, just the chains." The light filled the chamber, so bright it swallowed everything. When it faded, the Emperor was gone, his armor shattered, his ships above the moon falling silent. The storm outside cleared for the first time in centuries, the red clouds breaking apart to reveal stars. Ryan fell to his knees, exhausted. The glow faded from his skin. Zyra crawled to him, holding him in her arms. "You did it," she whispered. "You stopped him." Ryan looked weak but smiled. "He'll be back. Men like him always come back. Then we'll face him together," Zyra said softly. He looked at her, his hand brushing her cheek. "Together," he agreed. Outside, the moon shone for the first time, not dark and cursed anymore, but bright with a strange blue light, as if the planet itself had been reborn. In that quiet moment, the human and the alien princess realized something powerful, that the fight wasn't over, but something inside them had changed forever. The blue light that had saved them slowly faded into calm darkness. The ruins no longer trembled, and the strange hum of power turned soft, almost like a heartbeat fading into sleep. Ryan lay still on the cold metal floor, his body covered in faint glowing lines. Zyra knelt beside him, brushing the dust from his face. His chest rose and fell weakly, but he was alive. She whispered, "Stay with me, human, please." The battle had ended, but the air still smelled like smoke and lightning. The Emperor's army was gone, either destroyed or scattered, and the sky above the forbidden moon had turned clear for the first time in centuries. Zyra touched his cheek again. The glow under his skin flickered, matching the rhythm of her heartbeat. Something inside him was changing. Hours passed before Ryan's eyes opened. He blinked, his vision blurry. "Zyra?" She leaned closer, her eyes soft and tired. "You're awake." He tried to sit up but fell back, muscles trembling. "What happened?" "You happened," she said quietly. "You unleashed the core. The ruins responded to you, like they were waiting." Ryan frowned. "The Emperor?" "Gone," Zyra whispered. The light consumed him. The entire fleet is gone too. You destroyed the Empire's strongest man. Ryan looked away. I didn't want to kill him. Zyra shook her head. You didn't. The core did what it had to. It protects its host. Ryan sighed, staring at his hands. The glowing lines had faded, leaving faint scars that pulsed softly. So, I'm some kind of weapon now? She touched his arm gently. No. You're something more. For the next few days, they stayed in the ruins, using the remaining power to rebuild their small ship. Zyra handled the technology while Ryan gathered supplies from the wrecks scattered around the moon. At night, they sat together near the fire. The air outside was still full of light storms, but they were beautiful now, glowing blue instead of deadly red. Ryan watched the lightning dance across the horizon. You know, he said softly, for a cursed moon, it's not so bad anymore. Zyra smiled faintly. Maybe it was never cursed. Maybe it was just waiting for the right person to wake it. Ryan chuckled. You mean the right mistake? She turned to look at him, her expression softening. No, Ryan, the right miracle. Their eyes met in the flickering light, and for a moment, the universe felt quiet. A few weeks later, something strange began to happen. Zyra grew pale, weaker with each passing day. At first she thought it was exhaustion. Then came the nausea, the dizziness, and the strange warmth in her chest that wouldn't fade. Ryan noticed right away. You're not eating, he said one evening, sitting beside her. I'm fine, she insisted, though her voice shook. You're not, he said firmly. You're burning up. She tried to stand but stumbled. Ryan caught her, lifting her easily into his arms. Zyra, talk to me. What's wrong? Her hand pressed to his chest weakly. It's impossible, she whispered. What is? Tears filled her eyes. I'm with child. Ryan froze, his mind going blank. That's not... It shouldn't be, she said quickly. Our species aren't compatible. It's never happened in history. But the core... It changed us, Ryan. It fused our DNA. It made us one. He stared at her, his heart pounding. You mean, you're pregnant? Zyra nodded slowly. Our child carries the energy of the core. Ryan sat down beside her, his breath shaky. A child, half human, half Thalrin. The universe will lose its mind. She smiled faintly through tears. Maybe it's what the galaxy needs. Proof that two enemies can become one life. Ryan reached out and touched her face. Then we protect that life. Whatever it takes. The days that followed were different. Ryan built a small shelter inside the ruins using ancient technology to create a protective field. Zyra's strength returned slowly, her body glowing faintly at night as if touched by the core's light. Ryan stayed close, watching over her, fixing the ship piece by piece. Sometimes he caught himself staring at her, not as a princess or a warrior, but as something far more fragile and human. One night, as they sat beneath the glowing sky, Zyra spoke softly. Do you ever wonder why this happened? Why you, of all people, survived? Ryan looked at the stars. Maybe because I refused to give up. Maybe because someone needed to prove humans were more than weapons. She leaned her head on his shoulder. And maybe, she said quietly, someone needed to prove that love is stronger than war. Ryan smiled faintly, wrapping his arm around her. Love, huh? I thought we were fugitives, not poets. Zyra chuckled softly. You're both. Above them, the storm shimmered gently, the moon now glowing like a cradle of light. Inside the ruins, the ancient machines hummed quietly, as if guarding the unborn life within Zyra, the first child of two worlds. Ryan looked down at her sleeping beside him and whispered, You paid for me once, Zyra. But now I'll pay the universe back, and for both of us. The moon was quiet that morning. For the first time in weeks, there were no storms, no lightning, no trembling earth, only the calm hum of the ancient ruins and the soft wind brushing against the metallic hills. Ryan stood outside their small shelter, staring at the sky. The stars looked closer now, like they were listening. Behind him, Zyra slept peacefully, her hand resting on her stomach, where new life grew. He smiled faintly, whispering to himself, "You're not just mine anymore. You're ours." But peace never lasted long in the galaxy. The silence broke when a low rumble echoed from above. Ryan looked up and saw red lights blinking in the distant clouds. Ships. Imperial ships. His heart tightened. They found us. Inside the shelter, Zyra woke as Ryan rushed in. "Zira, get ready." "They're coming." She sat up, her face pale. How? The storm shield was active. Ryan grabbed his rifle, one of the last weapons from the wreck. They must have tracked the core's energy. "They want it. And you." Zira stood, holding onto the wall for balance. "Then we fight." He turned sharply. "No, you can't, not now." Her eyes blazed. "I won't hide while you die." Ryan stepped closer, placing his hands on her shoulders. "You're carrying something more important than both of us. If they get to you, they'll take the baby. They'll turn it into another weapon. I won't let that happen." Zyra's eyes softened. "You always try to save everyone." Ryan smiled faintly. "Maybe this time I'll get it right." The ground shook as ships descended through the clouds, cutting through the sky like blades. Dust rose and beams of red light swept across the ruins. Ryan ran outside, checking the energy fields. "The shield will hold for maybe 5 minutes," he said. Zira appeared behind him, her long white cloak fluttering in the wind. 5 minutes is enough." Ryan turned to her, frustration mixing with fear. "You can't go out there." She smiled faintly. "You forget, human, I'm a princess, not a prisoner." Before he could argue, a massive blast hit the ground nearby, throwing him back. When he looked up, soldiers were already approaching. Rows of armored figures, weapons glowing. Zira raised her hand, her eyes lighting up with faint blue energy, the same glow that once flowed through Ryan. "It's our power now," she said quietly. Shared, the soldiers opened fire. Bolts of plasma filled the air, but Zira lifted her hand, creating a shimmering wall of light. The blast stopped midair and dissolved into harmless sparks. Ryan grabbed his weapon and fired back, covering her. "You really don't listen, do you?" She smiled through the chaos. "I learned from you." The battle raged across the ruins. The old machines around them began to awaken again, glowing symbols crawling up their walls like veins of light. The core energy reacted to Ryan and Zyra's presence, pulsing stronger with every heartbeat. Then, from the largest ship above, a new figure appeared. A tall man in black armor, his helmet shaped like a crown of blades. His voice echoed through the comms. "The Emperor is dead, but the Empire is not. Surrender the core, or I burn this world." Ryan stepped forward, shouting into the sky, "Come and take it!" The commander raised his hand, and the ship fired a giant plasma cannon. The ground split open, shaking the ruins. Ryan grabbed Zyra, shielding her with his body as the blast hit. When the dust cleared, he stood still, glowing blue from head to toe. The core had awakened again, brighter than ever. Zira looked up at him, her eyes wide. "Ryan, your body—" "I can feel everything," he said quietly. "The ruins, the machines, even the stars." He turned toward the sky, raising both hands. The air trembled as ancient towers rose from the ground, surrounding the moon like guardians. The commander's ship tried to fire again, but the energy bent backward, destroying itself in a flash of blue light. Zira watched in awe as the other Imperial ships fled. "You did it," she whispered. Ryan fell to one knee, exhausted. The glow faded, leaving him pale and shaking. "No, we did." Zira ran to him, holding his face. "You kept your promise," he smiled weakly. "Told you I would." Days later, the moon was peaceful again. The sky was clear, filled with soft blue light. Zyra stood beside Ryan at the edge of the ruins, her hand resting on her belly. Ryan looked at the horizon where the rising sun glowed faintly. "When the baby comes," he said, "they'll be hunted by both sides. Human and Thalaran blood, and no one will understand." Zira leaned her head on his shoulder. "Then we'll teach them. Teach them that unity isn't a dream. It's our child's birthright." He looked at her with quiet pride. "You sound like a queen," she smiled. "And you sound like a husband," he laughed softly. "Guess the universe works in strange ways." Zira took his hand and placed it over her stomach. "This life we made, it's not just ours. It's hope for everyone." Ryan nodded slowly. "Then I'll protect it no matter what comes." The wind blew across the ruins, carrying the soft hum of the ancient machines. The moon glowed brighter, as if blessing the promise they made. Above them, new stars formed. silent witnesses to the union of two hearts from different worlds. And as the first cry of life echoed months later, the cry of a child born from love, war, and destiny, the galaxy changed forever, because one human kept his promise.